is the 19th of August, 2024. We do have one public hearing. We'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could you please take the roll?
Patrick Halpin.
Present.
Frank Santos. Present.
Oh, sorry.
Should I start again?
Present.
Frank Santos. Julianne Nolan. Gerald O'Neill.
Present.
Daniel Chukan.
Present.
Edward Wynn.
Present.
Juan Leon.
Present.
James Vaccaro.
Present.
Greg Gaxiola. Matt Esposito. Rich Casey. Denise Graziano. And Diane Hall.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we have a quorum. Could you, before we start the public hearing, I need to read this statement into the record. The planning board shall have the right to rely on any information that is presented by the applicant. If any such information is later found, is later found to be inaccurate or incorrect, the planning board may determine that any approvals, building permits, or other actions previously granted in connection with the application are null and void. Could you please announce the first public hearing?
Item A, public hearing, site plan review, bar restaurant. 1, job number 2409 AF, Taco Bell of America, LLC.
Thank you. Who's here on behalf of the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Greg Alvarez from Amato Law Group, 666 Old Country Road, Garden City, New York, here on behalf of the applicant, Taco Bell of America, LLC.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. I do have my forms here for our entry of...
You could give that to Matt. Thank you. Before we begin,
Sure.
I need to ask, the Commissioner of Planning, Rachel Scelfo, has issued a memorandum regarding this application. Does your client have any questions, any concerns, anything that they would like to bring to our attention regarding the contents of this memo, in particular, any of the covenants, restrictions, and other requirements?
Taco Bell is fine with the covenants as written. There were a few questions up front, which I'd be happy to address as part of our presentation.
Okay.
But let me give you the overview first, and then we'll jump
please,
into those
and then
questions.
we'll get into the things you want to raise regarding the
Great. Thank you very much.
memo. Okay.
Okay, so tonight we're here to discuss a redevelopment project, a project to demolish the existing Taco Bell restaurant that's located at 85 East Sunrise Highway, Lindenhurst, with a Suffolk County tax map number of District 100, Section 208, Block 4, Lot 1. Specifically, what we're asking for this evening is an amendment to a special exception permit that has been in place for this property since 1999. That is in connection with the use for an on-premises food and beverage consumption establishment. That will not change. We're just replacing the building that's there today and continuing the same operation. There are prior declarations of covenants and restrictions that were adopted and recorded in connection with the original approval for this restaurant. That was back in 1999. And in consultation with the planning department, those covenants will remain in place, subject to any modifications that would be subject to these new covenants that we just discussed and are incorporated into the planning division's memo. On top of that, we're also seeking site plan approval. I guess it would be amended in this case as well, since it's an existing developed property. And then finally, we're seeking a negative declaration under SECRA, and we understand that it has been designated a Type 2 action in that regard. We do require a few variances that we would be seeking from the zoning board if we are successful here before this board. The only dimensional variance that would be required has to do with the proposed outdoor seating canopy, which would be positioned on the western side of the property. There's a requirement that accessory structures be located in the rear yard. Here it would be located in a front yard facing North Delaware Avenue. So that's the variance we'd be asking for. There also will be variances required in connection with the proposed signage. We'll talk a little bit about that more in a moment. But generally, the signage that is proposed will be consistent with the signage that's out there today, just slightly different, updated for the current branding for Taco Bell. The site itself is, as we all know, is located in a highly commercial corridor along Sunrise Highway. It's positioned between North Delaware Avenue and North Erie Avenue, so it takes up that whole block and is fronted on Sunrise. The surrounding uses, as you can see on the display of the aerial, it's highly commercial immediately on Sunrise Highway, and then as you migrate to the north and south, it transitions over to single family. The property itself is approximately 0.685 acres and is zoned E business, which is actually in the EB business district. Currently, the building that's on site is 2,300 square feet, thereabouts, and it's been located there, as mentioned, for upwards of 25 years, so it's been operating since then. The goal here is to modernize things, to refresh the site, and to improve the operations that occur thereon. Again, it would be the same use. It's really just trying to reconfigure things to try to help things move more quickly through the drive-through. That's obviously a key of Taco Bell's business, and to even also improve the current situation by moving the building further to the north and orienting all of the drive-through activity towards Sunrise Highway. The building itself, the new one, will be a little smaller than the existing. It'll be 2,180 square feet. And yes, you can see how the orientation of the drive-through will be achieved on the northerly portion of the property. The restaurant itself will be able to accommodate a total of 30 seats, 18 seats inside, and then 12 seats would be outside in that outdoor area I mentioned earlier. Right now, actually, there are 42 seats. So again, we're condensing the in-dining experience because as time has evolved for many operators in the fast food industry, the orientation toward drive-through and mobile order pickup is become the majority of the activity that takes place at these types of restaurants. The outdoor area is covered by that canopy, as I mentioned, and that's the variance that we will be asking for. In terms of parking, we are compliant. 24 spaces are required based on your code, and 26 spaces are proposed. So we have 2 additional spaces above code. 2 of those 26 spaces will be ADA compliant, and an additional 2 spaces will be for mobile pickup orders. Some other improvements that are proposed on the site as well. New 6-foot-high PVC fencing will be installed on the southerly property line to create even more screening for the residences to the south, and will be supported by the vegetative buffer that is out there today. And landscaping will actually be increased overall on the site to about 1/3 of the site will be covered by landscaping total, if you add it up. And that's about a 25% increase, I'd say, about 2,000 square feet or so of the overall site. The access to the property currently is achieved both from Sunrise Highway and also from North Delaware Avenue. That is proposed to be changed. So as we know, Sunrise Highway is a very busy state highway, and the goal that DOT tries to achieve is try to reduce as many driveways as possible along Sunrise Highway so that it creates less conflict for people coming in and out of the site. So instead, The new design would have driveways along both North Delaware, where it currently exists today, and then an additional one on North Erie Avenue to allow for full free movement on the site. As I mentioned about the drive-through, as you can see, the queuing lane will come in from that area near North Erie Avenue, and then begin to circle around the site towards the north side. It will be 2 lanes, so there will be 2 order stalls for this new lane, which again, the idea here is to create more efficiency and move cars through the queue more quickly. On top of that, just a couple of other points. So signage, aside from the wall signage, the ground signage will change. Currently, there is a sign on the north east corner that's located on the site, and that will be relocated to the northwest corner, and it will actually become a new monument sign. So it won't be as tall as the current signage that's out there today. As I mentioned, the wall signage will be very comparable, just with new branding to the new building. There will also be new lighting that will be installed, and it will be made sure that there will be no spillover onto the residences to the south, and so that has been carefully done, and we've included a lighting plan in our submission to confirm that that will be the case. We've also proposed a trash enclosure in the lower right-hand corner there, or that's the southeast corner, and that would be positioned so that it has good access for trucks, and also to be free and clear from the other activity on the site. Now, there are a few items that, since we were scheduled, and we're continuing to work with the planning department to make sure that the plan incorporates all items that come up during the course of the process. So one item that has been updated on this site plan is that in the southwest corner, a RPZ, a reduced pressure zone backflow prevention device box, will be located in that southwest corner. And to accommodate that, we've also installed, or are proposing to install, bollards and significant landscaping around it to make sure it'll be there, but no one really needs to see it. One other update to the site plan, and again, we'll be submitting this plan for consideration and for final approval, just to incorporate these items. These are just sort of minor items that came up towards the tail end of the process. The actual relief that we're asking for the canopy was slightly different. The code section that is being referenced for the canopy has been changed, so we have reflected that in our updated version. And then finally, we've also updated the wall signage. In one respect, the planning department had asked that we remove the proposed Bell logo sign. Yes, we'll see it here. In the view that we're looking at, it's the upper left-hand corner, that view. So yes, originally the Bell logo was to be installed above the main entrance, but in the interest of this is facing towards the residences, we have agreed to remove that sign to lessen the signage that's on that side of the building. So those are the changes that we made, and they would be incorporated as part of our submission, and hopefully the plans that could be approved by this board. In terms of the history of the site, we originally filed this application back in January and have been working very closely with the planning department back and forth on their comments, on other departmental comments, and the comments of the third-party traffic engineers for the town, LMKA. And at that time, they had actually indicated, because we're just replacing, not really changing anything, we didn't really need a traffic report. But we've gone ahead to do that, so we do have a traffic report that we'd like to submit as part of our record this evening. But at this time, I will go back to that planning memo that we talked about earlier and just go through some of those comments that were up front. I think on page 1 were primarily the questions. So the first question was in terms of hours of operation. So as mentioned, this restaurant has been operating for upwards of 25 years. And typically, it's been operating essentially 24 hours a day. And that is the current operation, but with some nuance, because the indoor dining actually closes at midnight, so we make sure of that. And then if anyone has any mobile orders that they can receive, and again, we're going to have a pickup window there to allow for that sort of activity. That would stay open until 2 a.m., again, just to keep the queue flowing for the drive-through as well, to allow folks who order ahead of time to just simply come in, pick up, and then they can proceed on their way. So that is the proposal for this site. We did look back with the help of Taco Bell operations, just to make sure how this restaurant has been operating during its history, and based on their records, it has been operating very well. No real comments in relation to overnight hours or issues in that respect, and certainly they are very responsive to anything that may come up. So in that respect, we are certainly in agreement in the way that the condition has been proposed, that hours of operation could be considered sometime, but we don't see that need based on the historic operation of this particular restaurant. So then number 2, there are some questions about the proposed elevations, just some questions that the planning department had raised. And we would like to discuss that a little bit in further detail. So if you look at the elevations that are up on the screen now, the first question has to do with the framing or void space as referenced in the northeast side of the building. So right there is an area right there will not be, I guess what you'd call boxed in at the back to create a full box of the building. And that was definitely by design. It was a way to reduce the overall scale of it, to break up the architectural look. And the way it basically will look is to have sort of that bar that does square off the top there to give you the indication so that there is that indication of squaring it off. But it's intended to create some negative space and different sight lines. And so it is part of the architectural design that Taco Bell is employing elsewhere. I do have, for reference, I think we had submitted at some point, but it was the example that we have from Florida, where there were prior elevations. Okay. I do have extra copies if you could share them.
Give that to that.
Sure, okay, let me do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so as you'll see, this is a view and 3D views of a location in Hollywood, Florida. And so it gives you a little bit more detail on how the site will actually look from different vantage points. You could kind of see that negative space area that's going to be part of the design. And it also gives you, sort of in response to 2B that's referenced in the planning memo about different additional detailing. So the idea is, they do want and would prefer the black motif to come through. But as you'll see the different textures that are proposed at the different areas upon the architecture to make sure that it's not just a blank, a blank slate. Just in counterpoint, you could definitely see, for instance, across the street of this location at the Chipotle, where they sort of went the white motif. It's a little bit more, I would say, consistent all the way through in terms of what that white looks like. Here, we're trying to do something a little bit different to give it texture in each little section of the building so that it doesn't look like that, and it gives it a little bit more differentiation, I'll say.
Board members, any questions regarding the architecture? If you don't
Sure.
mind. Hold on, okay, I'm sorry. Is that- There you go, fine.
So on the top picture, if you look at the left entrance where
Yes.
you had the bell in the arch,
Correct.
would that arch be removed? along with the bell, or does that stay? I see in the design in Florida it stayed, but
Yeah, the idea is to try to keep that consistent because we are showing the arch on the front of the building as well. So it would sort of be, I think the idea is to match. So that would be the idea to try to do that. But again, it would create negative space through it because it would just be the arch, and then you would be able to see through it now because we've decided to remove the sign.
With regards to the canopy that's proposed here,
Correct.
what is the seating capacity? It looks very small.
It is. It's only 12 seats. So it's really just designed to allow for a different space for, for customers to sit outside. So you can see it there. It's, I think you have two four tops and then two seaters as well, and to add up to 12.
Okay, so it looks like patrons can go out there directly from the restaurant, correct?
That's
Then-
correct.
Then it looks like it's fenced off. Is there an exit for them? Or is the exit going back into the restaurant?
No, I think there is an exit there. You could see the walkway that separates the two, and I believe there you are able to exit out back to the parking lot.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay.
Jerry?
Funny, at first I had an objection to the empty space that you talked about there, because in the drawing it looks very empty, but coincidentally, this picture from Florida shows a lot of trees that you can see through it. And behind this restaurant, your restaurant, there are some huge pine trees. So I'm guessing that's a similar look that people will see as they look through that.
I would imagine, yes, because you do have the tree canopy behind this building as well.
Okay. That's about it on
Any other questions?
on that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I became aware of the fact that there is a rodent problem in the neighborhood over there. I'm not saying it's yours, it's in general.
Okay.
And there are going to be some some requirements during construction about rodent control.
Sure.
Would you guys have any problem in continuing? I'm sure there's some kind of a pest control maintenance situation in a restaurant, adding the rodent control, because that is a problem in that neighborhood.
Yeah, not at all. We actually checked on that as well, and we actually found there was one instance where someone in the community had asked, just to make sure that everything was in place. That was back in 2022. Someone had asked from the neighborhood. But what we do is a monthly inspection system. So we have a record of our vendor coming out every month to make sure that the pest control is addressed and taken care of. So that's something that has been ongoing and will be ongoing as part of the new store as well.
Okay, but the rodent control is a separate issue with pest control. I mean, there are traps, there's maintenance and inspections on those. Would that be part of it?
Yes.
Including the rodent? Okay. I
Yes.
wasn't sure.
Yeah. It's all baked in.
That's all.
Yeah.
Part of that.
One would think. It's like a union job. Sorry, that's his work. He's in charge of rodents. You're in charge of cockroaches. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Sure.
Proposed elevation, including that open arch, compared to what the current elevation of the building is. I know it's going to be closer to sunrise, so I'm just worried, is it relatively the same, or is there a difference?
I'm sorry, in terms of the existing, where the existing? Yeah, I think it's actually opposite, right? If we match it up right. I think it'll be towards the other end of the building. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Do we have the height on that?
I don't know if it's existing, I think it's similar though.
Okay, do we have a height on, let me just double check if we have a height for, yeah, we'll get that for you. Yeah, I don't know if we,
25.6.
25.6,
right
oh, there we
there,
go, I'm sorry,
proposed.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Frank?
On the dumpster, what's it made out of? Is it a block dumpster, or is it fenced in? And what do you have between there and the property line as far as, for the look behind the houses over there?
Gotcha. Okay, why don't I ask, you want to answer those questions?
All right, then we have to swear you in unless you're
Gotta
an
swear
attorney.
in.
We don't have to swear in attorneys. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Bittner with Bowler Engineering, 275 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Well, here's what we know about engineers. They're very precise. Because I have a brother who's a naval architect, a marine engineer, and he said, we're down to the tenths of an inch. So, yes, go ahead.
So it is a masonry block trash enclosure. It will have a decorative finish. It is set back 5 feet from the property line, which is compliant with the town code for the buffer space where accessory structures are allowed to be within 3 feet of the property line. So we're keeping the buffer to give enhanced landscaping along that edge. So if you actually go to the color rendering, you can see how we are enhancing the buffer around the trash enclosure to keep it screened, along with the 6-foot-high PVC fence along the edge there. This currently is showing proposed. We are willing to supplement and just keep the existing and put new ones in with the existing, if that's what the board prefers.
Any other questions?
Yeah. The fence that's on the property line on the south side right now is a pretty high stockade fence. Is that coming down and being replaced by the new one?
If the existing is found to be on our property, yes. If it's on the adjacent ones, it will remain.
I mean, it looks like it's yours. It was well done, it's high, it's part of the berm. So I'm just wondering if the neighbors would see the new fence or not.
So you'll look at that carefully.
And one last item, lighting in the back.
Yep.
You're going to have a sign facing, on the second story, facing the houses, the Taco Bell sign. Now, you took down the bell, but what kind of lighting, are they going to see your sign, and to what extent? I mean, it's the back of the building. I don't know why you have a big Taco Bell sign. People know that it is by the time they get there.
Well, because it's also part of the entrance. And by town code, we are allowed an entrance sign. So it is compliant. We are willing to work with the illumination hours.
And intensity? I mean, like I said, they know they're in Taco Bell by the time they get around the back. It's not something that's going to be seen from Sunrise Highway. So low illumination is all you need for the brand.
Yes, as Mr. Bittner said, Taco Bell is definitely willing to work with trying to adjust the illumination, but the purpose of it is to make sure that people understand that that's the main entrance. That's where we're trying to direct folks to enter. So we just want to make sure that it's for wayfinding purposes, that there is that identification right there.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Currently on North Delaware, it's difficult to get to your left and make that left turn going west. There's a light there, but the traffic is blocked because most of them are either going straight or they're going to make a right turn. So if you're going west, it's a little difficult. I don't know if you're making the entrance to alleviate that.
Well, it is an existing condition, so it is in that the driveway is already there. So we're not aware of any particular issues in terms of the operation from the site, in terms of making that turn, even during those busy hours. I do have our traffic expert who can speak a little bit more, I think, to talk about that, just in a little bit more detail. But generally, the way we view it is that it is an existing condition, and if it can be an issue at times, it seems that it has operated fine in the past. But let me have our engineer step up, and he could talk a little bit more specifically about it.
Sir, could you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure. My name is Paul Going, G-O-I-N-G. My address, 275 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please proceed.
Thanks. So, as often happens where you have the commercial corridor along the state highway or any highway, in that commercial zone, you have those traffic signals that are, placed every once in a while. So some roads go through and some roads don't go through. So you do have a little more of a backup going northbound towards Sunrise Highway there. But the operation of the signal should cycle the traffic through and, allow those movements to be made. And allowing that movement to be made allows people to head west on Sunrise Highway. They don't have to drive around the neighborhood and, find another route. So I think there's a net benefit to having it there.
I frequent it a lot, and unless someone lets me go through, it's difficult to get to the extreme left and make that turn going west. So that's why I
Understood.
brought it up.
Does your wife know you're going to Taco Bell all the time? Okay. Okay.
I love that you're really closer to the Sunrise Highway. My question has to do with the queuing of the drive-through.
Sure.
A lot of times when we drive past the current condition is that the parking lot is filled with cars up into the drive-through. So they're queuing further, at least 5 or 6 cars prior to order. And your rendering, you only have spaces for 4 cars to be queued. My concern is that people who would be trying to turn into the area from North Erie wouldn't be able to get into the parking lot. There's more queuing.
Well, so for traffic engineering, we measure the queue from the pickup window. So there's a few things going on. One, we're closing that driveway to Sunrise Highway. Sunrise Highway is a 55-mile-per-hour road. Just from a safety standpoint, we think that that's a good idea. By putting the building up towards Sunrise Highway, we're able to wrap the queue around the building a longer distance. And then, in addition, we have a part of the queue where we've got 2 rows of cars. So in the existing condition, you can stack about 6 cars before you start to impact parking. In the proposed condition, we can stack 12, so we've doubled that capacity. Another thing that's happening is that we are increasing the distance from the pickup window to the ordering position. So that allows more time as those cars, they'll tend to move at the same speed, but it allows more time for the kitchen to make the meals and deliver them to the driver when the driver gets to the pickup window.
Yeah, and I didn't, well, I'll just add one more thing. So just as to that efficiency, as part of this new building design, that's really the big purpose. Sure, they want to make it look new and nicer and everything, but from a logistical standpoint, they're really looking to advance the efficiency and operation of the restaurant itself. So inside the new building and the new kitchen is specifically designed to be able to run more lines and to be able to turn over orders much more quickly. And so, as Mr. Going mentioned about getting those orders earlier and more of them up front, that's also designed to help that as well. And so what we've seen with this new design, on average, the savings per car is quite high. And it may not sound a lot, but it's like almost a minute, which is pretty significant. So that's also part of it, and that's also designed here to try to prevent those situations that you had mentioned.
Thank you. I just have a question about the where the sign would go, the sign that's being removed. I don't know if we can pull that picture up again of the front.
The ground sign.
Yeah, Matt, you got it? Where's that ground sign?
Yeah, I think it's in that corner there, right? Let's see. There it is, yeah.
Okay.
Can't even see it really.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if that's what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry, for the proposed? Yeah, the bell. Okay, right. So my question is this. Where that bell would go, is there, does that, whatever you call it, that housing that looks like it protrudes 2 or 3 feet up in the air, does it serve any other purpose than just to hold that bell that's not there?
Well, it's also part of their architectural design as well, because then it gives additional accent, just like even the existing building where it has sort of that arch to create, where it breaks up that single line across the roof. It's designed to serve that same purpose, but not as bulky, let's say, because it
Right.
does at least create the, appearance of something where it changes up the architectural design, but it's designed not to be so intrusive. So
Right.
that's really the point of it.
Understood. And the only reason why I bring that up is because it's facing residents. I don't know if that was, maybe it's just.
Is that are we looking at Sunrise Highway here, Matt?
Well, both sides. So
both-
if you look,
okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, so both sides. It's designed to create the element on both sides,
Okay.
essentially.
All right, understood. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board regarding this application? No? Okay, before I take a vote, I want to say this is an excellent presentation.
Thank you. And actually, if I may, I failed to mention that I did want to get in the reflective reports that both of my experts had spent time
Yeah,
to
please,
submit. So
please give them
just wanted to make sure they did get into the
They will
record.
be part of the record
Thank you. All right, I appreciate it.
forever and ever. This is going to be a big improvement.
Thank you.
So you should, thank you. This really will be a big improvement. And if there was a way that we could have that bell back up there and not have it seen on the other side, I'd have no problem with the bell. In fact, I kind of like it. But we'll leave that.
Sure.
The franchisee?
Well, it's a corporate restaurant, so Taco Bell will continue to operate it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you. It's excellent, and we appreciate the investment that's being made
Thank you very much.
to improve that part of Sunrise Highway. If you've noticed, that area has improved significantly over the last 5, 7, 10 years,
Indeed.
with more to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, so I need let me just see. Okay, I need a motion to close the hearing. Motion by Jimmy, second by Juan.
Second.
Close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the hearing is now closed. The decision, though, has been reserved in order for us to review the feedback we have received this evening and any open site plan issues. The record will remain open for written comments. To follow up on the status of the application or to submit additional written comments, you can contact the planning department in either of the following methods. First, in person. The planning department is located on the west wing of Town Hall. Application documents, plans are available for inspection between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. or by phone, 631-957-3103, or via email, planning comments, that's one word, planning comments @thetownofbabylon.com. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we're going to close the live stream because that is the end.